Mr. Speaker, my speech today will touch on the new offences to deter the misuse of local SIM cards. By now, we are all well aware of how the proliferation of scams and cybercrimes and hence the overall crime rate in Singapore is on a sharp rise in recent years. While physical crime cases have declined over the past 5 years, from 23,980 cases in 2019 to 19,966 cases in 2023, the reverse has happened for scam and cybercrime cases, rising almost 5 times from 11,135 cases in 2019 to 50,376 cases in 2023, with the increase seen last year the largest annual increase yet, at 16,707 cases, or an almost 50% jump compared to the year before. While we may not be living in the metaverse per se as yet, our digital lives and online footprint are increasingly inescapable aspects of our everyday lives, from the way we communicate and socialize via online messaging apps and social media, the way we go about our daily jobs in front of our laptops, and even the way we transact in the offline world, buying lunch or groceries, with Singapore moving closer towards a cashless society. The Gallup's Law and Order Index uses 4 questions to gauge people's sense of personal security and their own experiences with crime and law enforcement. While much of these relate to one's sense of physical safety and security, in this day and age, it is worth looking at these questions from the digital sphere as well. For example, one of the questions relate to within the last 12 months, have you had money or property stolen from you or another household member? These days, the losses from scams are likely to be way more significant, sometimes involving our life savings, than losing one's wallet from snatch theft or robbery. And while we may feel safe walking alone at night, it is noteworthy that 96% of the population 15 and above are at least somewhat concerned about becoming a victim of scams, with 99% of seniors 60 and above sharing the same concern. As scammers and criminal networks continue to evolve their approach in committing scams and cybercrimes against Singaporeans, we need to step up our game to reverse the worrying trend in scam cases, and I believe the new measures would be a welcome addition into our arsenal in the war against scammers and cybercriminals. Nonetheless, I have a few areas of concern which I hope the Minister will be able to address. The bill introduces offences targeting 3 groups of offenders: irresponsible registrants, those receiving, supplying or possessing local SIM cards, and retailers facilitating fraudulent registration of local SIM cards. Given our earlier efforts to tighten SIM card registration requirements and the implementation of the +65 prefix to identify foreign scam syndicates spoofing local numbers, these scammers have turned to using local SIM cards instead. As set out in the MHA's press release, the rampant misuse of local SIM card superpatriot scams has been driven by people who give away their SIM cards or provide their particulars to others to be used to sign up for SIM cards, typically for money, also known as irresponsible registrants. While it is certainly irresponsible of such people when viewed from a rational third-party perspective, it may be the case of ignorance from the perspective of certain persons of the significant harms such a seemingly innocent move can cause. To me, it is much less defensible to feign ignorance when it comes to cases involving lending one's identity to be a phantom employee, even earning extra CPF along the way, while enabling dishonest companies to sidestep foreign worker quotas, or to willfully lend one's bank account in return for a fee to facilitate money laundering. Under Section 39B, it will be presumed that a person has reasonable grounds to believe that the local SIM card will be used to commit or facilitate a crime, and until the contrary is proved, could be found guilty of an offence and liable to a fine not exceeding $10,000 or to imprisonment for a term not exceeding 3 years or both. To what extent do we wish to pursue or even imprison an elderly person, or someone who may not be literate or sophisticated enough to see the criminal element of this act, even as someone gave him a token sum to thank him for his time and efforts and will have ticked the box on receiving any gain? What kind of educational or information campaigns will be conducted to protect those who may not have willfully committed an offence for a quick buck and could now face imprisonment? I welcome Section 39G, which makes it an offence for a retailer or telecommunications licensee to register a local SIM card using any person's particulars without that person's authorization or knowing the particulars were false or misleading under certain conditions. We have certainly seen cases in the past where errant retailers were taken to task, such as earlier this year where an authorized dealer was fined $48,000 for exploiting customers' personal data to register SIM cards without their knowledge or consent, making an estimated profit of $35,000 along the way. However, just as we censure financial institutions for not putting in place adequate anti-money laundering and counter-terrorism financing measures, to what extent does the buck stop at the retailers and authorized dealers themselves? And when would the telecommunications licensee itself be liable for failing to prevent, detect, and address such abuses of their SIM cards and telecommunications networks to facilitate crime? Beyond employees of retailers of the mobile service providers who may have been directly involved in facilitating these SIM card registrations, to what extent would the management team and the board of these companies be liable themselves under the new Section 39G, especially since the employees of these mobile service providers are specifically identified as such? Mr. Speaker, allow me to say a few words in Mandarin. 众所周知，尽管实体犯罪案件在过去5年中有所下降，诈骗和网络犯罪案件却急剧上升，导致我国的总体犯罪率近年来不断上升。迹象显示，越来越多骗徒转用本地电话卡行骗和非法放贷，甚至开设 PayNow 等户头接受赃款，创建 WhatsApp 等聊天应用账户。执法与其他事务法案通过之后，若随意把个人资料交给陌生人注册本地电话卡，或售卖注册在自己或别人名下的本地电话卡，或没正当理由却接受、供应或拥有他人的电话卡，可构成刑事罪。我们大家可能凭直觉知道，把个人资料交给一些不诚实的公司，充当虚幻员工，从中赚取公积金填补，或把自己的银行户口交给陌生人，方便一些不法之徒滥用我们的户口，甚至促进洗黑钱活动都是违法的。但是，许多人可能不会意识到，把个人资料交给陌生人注册本地电话卡所可以带来的重大伤害。更重要的是，这个举动以后可能会让肇事者被罚款，甚至被判入狱。所以在此，我呼吁政府在这方面开展更多的教育或宣传活动，来保护那些可能无意中犯刑事罪的国人，比如年长人士或意识力不足的人。谢谢。